Yeah, we just wanted to welcome all of you guys, and we're just going to share some quick tidbits of good news. Some of you have good news to share too, and we would love to call on you. We've put a couple slides together just to capture some of the content that was coming into us via email. So we found this with students promoing, so we just thought it would be a great way to start.
He's sending some good news. He's sending some good news. He's sending some good news.
I didn't think that was going to come out of that kid's mouth. I love acapella. Acapella is my favorite.
Absolutely. So I want to just share, I was working with Carrie Gurley this morning, our nursing faculty, and she had some great news to share with discussion boards. So her tip was, there were so many ways that she used to review and have students recall information, and at the end of the week, each week, she has students post a discussion board. And in that board, she says, share 3 of the most important things or critical things that you learned during the week, and then reply to 2 posts. And she said the great thing she never anticipated was students were able to use this as an actual way to review for the course content. So each person reviewed 3 ideas, and then they looked at somebody else's 3 ideas and somebody else's, and she felt that it really enhanced their content memory and retention to just bring it back and review key ideas. And she said everybody brought different ideas. They weren't the same ideas. So she said it was a really great way to actually review the content.
That's so cool. I used to do a little something like that, but I would have my students write quiz questions. So that's another one that you could do with a discussion board, is write up a quiz question that you think the instructor might ask. And I found that the students always came up with harder questions than I would ask. So that was my discovery.
Tony, are you here with us? She was going to try and join, but if not, she had a great activity that she did that she felt really helped engage students. So she said, get students to lead as much as possible. And here's an example. She actually has students call on each other. So student 1 shared their favorite educational theorist and a reason that they liked them. And then student 1 actually called on student 2, who shares how that theory could be implemented in the classroom. And student 2 calls on student 3, who shares their favorite educational theorists and the reason. And then 4, how they implemented it in the classroom, and on and on and on. So she said it really does a great job of keeping students on their toes. They're paying attention. Everybody's listening and thinking, because they never know if they're next. And it also creates that ownership where students have the opportunity to kind of engage in some of that class information and decide who's going next. So she said it keeps us all on our toes and takes some of the weight off of her as the instructor.
Yeah, it's funny because it's one of those things where you have to read the whole thing first. I was thinking, well, how do they pick the next student? At the bottom in the big bold print, they choose them randomly. Just read all the directions. That's all I have to do. We're glad to have you telling us live what's going on, because we had a lot of people say, hey, we'll share our news, but we can't be there. So I'm glad you're here with us.
Well, I'm sure most of the people are doing these things that I will speak about. I hate ringing my own bell. Okay, so don't take this as bragging or anything. It's just how I run my classes, and there's 2 main points. One, someone just mentioned in their slide, is to include the students. Now I do it a little differently, but I make sure I include the students, and I do everything with a little taste of humor. And everyone can't do that, because some people, I think like Frank Sinatra said, when you tell a joke, you get so many laughs, and when I tell a joke, I don't get any laughs. And one of the Rat Pack told them, it's because you're not funny. And some people just aren't funny, but I do it with humor. Number 1 is I keep a little checklist by the side of the computer. It's kind of like an attendance sheet. And I tell them, you know what? You need to participate. And every time someone speaks up or sends me a chat to participate, I give you a little check mark. Now, I give points at the end of the class, at the end when the class is entirely over. So if you're close to an A and you just need some points, you could possibly get those. But if I take a look at my sheet and see you didn't participate in the class at all, that could be detrimental for you. I also do it with humor, like when I did the lecture on supply and demand curves, and I asked one of the students, well, which way will this shift? And he tells me it would shift to the right. And I said, are you sure? And he said, well, yes, I believe I'm sure. I said, because if you're wrong, then the class gets to stone you. I said, class, should we stone him? And then they send me emoji thumbs up. Yes, we'll stone him if he's wrong. And he's like, oh, come on. How can you do that? I said, we'll do a drive-by. I said, but I want to keep it fair. We're only allowed to throw one stone. But some of us have a good aim. I used to play softball in school. So he was correct, but that's how I do it. I keep them engaged that way. I make them a part of it. I also give them roles to play. With the Federal Reserve, when I taught about that, I made one person a banker, normally a male, and another person the Fed chairperson, normally a female. And if you leave the class, because I start to call on people if no one's volunteering. And if you don't answer within the second, Jonathan, are you there? Then my thing is you've gotten up and left, and that's not acceptable. So you lose points for that. And I let them know. If you're going to leave, then you have to send a little note in the chat, be right back. And then when you get back, when you return, I'm back. So you have to be there to participate. I also require to have at least 5 faces showing in the class because they won't put their cameras on so you can see their face. And I said, I'm not a very good comedian where I can stand up and make jokes to an empty audience like some of these guys are doing now. I can't do that. So you can take turns, but at least 5 faces have to appear. And my best thing is my whiteboard. I mean, having the whiteboard and being able to show shifting and, the different types of products we produce and what they're categorized under. That's the best part. But the 2 things for me is to include the students, and I try to make it at least a little humorous for them.
And I can't see you because I'm in full screen presentation mode. But
Okay.
Did you show your whiteboard on your screen to everybody, or can you show the whiteboard that you're using?
I can show it. It's nothing.
That's what I want people to know, is that even simple things are working for the students.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm going to see your setup.
What I do is I take my camera down and I put it on the board itself. So that's it. It's a real small whiteboard. That's it. And I bought special markers and everything. Can you see that? Can everybody see that?
I'm going to have to go back and look at the recording because all I can see is our slide, but I'm anxious to see it.
Yeah, it's just a really small whiteboard. But I got colorful markers and everything, and it's just great. I bought all that to hold their attention. And next week, I'm going to start a new thing where if a family member walks by and I see them, I get to speak to them. If you want me to tell them, oh, he's a wonderful student, you better pay attention in this class, Bucky boy. I've had mothers come by with baskets of clothing. It's hilarious.
Are they coming by on purpose now? Oh, you said you're going to start next week.
Yeah, for next week, I'm going to start that. But that this just little things, but I find that just to keep their attention. And I even had one student yesterday. I love it when the students see, and I don't ask them to do this or anything. They just do it. And the student sent me one after class yesterday and said, "You are an amazing educator. You motivate, inspire, and elevate students to new heights." I don't know how I did that. I wish he had said, what did I say and do to elevate you to new heights? Okay. I don't know. So I just try to keep them at least slightly entertained, making sure they're learning the information, but I do whatever I can just to keep them involved in the class. So that the first person before me, she's quite correct. Involve them in the class because you can get so bored so easily when you're doing online and you're distracted and everything.
The thing when you and I were talking earlier in the semester, the thing that made me think we need to get Gloria here talking to people is because everybody was saying, oh, it's been so hard. They're not really listening. I don't even know if they're out there. Their cameras are off. It's like doing a monologue. And you were the only person who said, oh, we're having fun. We are listening so much. But it goes back to the whole being your authentic teacher self that, they accept it from you because it's who you are, so be who you are as a teacher. Yeah. If I were to try and do any of the things that you're doing, just staring at me going, what are you?
I'm just goofy. And one last thing was today when I said, okay, so these are all the different types of unemployment, that there's one missing. Can you tell me which one? And there was silence. And I said, come on, guys, since all my other classes figured it out. And if you're the only one that doesn't get this, I'm going to print all of your names on the Financial Times newspaper. And they said, oh no, the Financial Times paper, will you put it on the refrigerator of shame too? I said, yes, in every home. So they finally did figure it out. So if you joke with them or whatever, they'll join in. But the most important thing is to try to figure out how to keep them engaged in the class, make them a part of the teaching. Yeah, and that's what I do, from giving them roles to allowing them to, we're going to drive by and stone one of your classmates, which they seem to enjoy. So, but that's it for me. That's it.
Let me ask you just one thing before I move to the next slide. It is, you are definitely one of our face-to-face people, having you in person. Do you think you'll keep next year when we go back to face-to-face, would you still try the live online stuff, or would you just go back to face-to-face?
I would do whatever the needs require. If you need
you're such a good person.
Online people, I will stay online. And if you need face-to-face, I will do face-to-face. Okay.
Yeah, I was just curious if some people are actually realizing they like this more than they thought they would.
I will be very truthful with you, Mary. I still prefer face-to-face.
Oh, me too.
Since I've added all these things in and I'm getting accustomed to it, I judge whether I'll do something or not by my success factor. And if I end up with good scores from the students and have been successful, then this is no problem for me. Okay. And we are having fun and we're laughing, but I told them they miss it too. They miss face-to-face. And I told them, so do I. I miss, the interaction. I miss walking up and down the aisles with my baseball bat hitting students. I miss all of that.
Hey, Mary.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing. We've got Carrie on, and I know she's got to go to a meeting, so I briefly
I'm done.
Discussion board. She is slide 3. Carrie, is there anything that you want to add? I shared that you use a discussion board as a review.
Hello, everybody. So for me, with nursing, it really was looking at how the heck am I going to get these guys to still connect? Because it's different than just a class. I mean, these guys have been together almost 2 years, and they miss each other so much. So I thought I haven't required discussion boards in the past. Usually I'll ask some questions in a module, and whoever answers is fine, just for a little bit of feedback. But this time I assigned points. And I was shocked at all of the aha moments that the students were having, and realizing, because I do require them to give an article based on something they learned in a pediatric nursing for the week of the topic, and the things that they have come up with and the amazing articles that they used really was a review, because what we decided for the specialties in nursing, instead of having high stakes tests for them, to do low stakes. So they're having a quiz every week, which is very different for them. They're used to having a quiz every 2 to 3 weeks, but we felt that that would help them stay on top of all the material, especially with peds, because I have the whole entire body to go through in 5 weeks. So it is a heavy, heavy content, but they've been doing good on their quizzes. They said they like it because it's forcing them to make sure that they're ready every week. And the discussion board has been an amazing addition to what I normally would do in the classroom. So I'm very thankful that, a lot of times we try something, we don't know if it's good or not. And I've had better outcomes than I thought I would with the discussion board. And it's like, hey, Mary, so glad to see you. I've missed you, so they're getting to talk to each other too, where they're not having that time together. And as far as clinicals, like all of our clinicals have been canceled. I did have a group today for service learning, so thank the Lord that Lawrence Institute of Education was still willing to let the nursing students come, and we're the only students they're allowing on campus, so I feel very blessed that the students get to be able to do that. So the discussion board has been really beneficial to them in many ways.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
For slipping us into your busy afternoon, Carrie.
I know. Before I go to the faculty meeting at 3. Yes, and I rushed home. I won't say the speed in which I acquired that, but I did make it home pretty quick.
Jen, Arlene has a question here on the side that just said she has a meeting every Tuesday that starts at 3, so she's got to get out of here. But she'd be interested to know how other faculty are having students work in groups and how students can share their work. We may put that off until next week because, as we'll show you in a little bit, Webex Groups is finally here. So next week I'm going to have Leslie come in and help us with that. So
Awesome.
unless anybody else has something.
Next week,
Fabulous.
we have Scott and April, and then the week after.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 2 weeks. Leslie's in 2 weeks. Gosh darn it. First Tuesday of October, we'll do groups. Okay. And John said he may or may not be able to get in here.
He was had to meet with a student last minute, but he did a video recording and basically wanted to share. We'll leave this in here so that you guys can use this or go back and look at the videos. We had a Pear Deck session on Tuesday. He implemented it on Wednesday. He said it was so quick, easy turnaround, and he did a quick demo of how to. So the first video there is his demo of how to use it and how he included it in his class. And then the second video is him looking at the data on the back end and how he used that to inform the session for the next day, seeing what they understood, what they maybe needed a little bit more help from. Let's do just a couple minutes of the first one.
Okay. I actually was thinking, even if I didn't watch it, I love his opening slide. You know, with the, here's what you need to do today. So yes. I would steal that kind of idea.
Hi, my name is John Dean, and I'm in the English faculty here at Chandler-Gilbert, and I wanted to share my good news about my use of Pear Deck. I attended a workshop last Tuesday by Jen and Mary that showed us how to use this resource, and I used it in my class the next day, and it's actually worked really well in my courses. So I want to share that good news with you. I can't be with you today. Unfortunately, I student conferences today, but I did want to share how I use this in my class and how it worked for me. So this is Pear Deck. This is what students see when they log into my Cisco Webex class. And then what they do is they go to joinpd.com. And after the first time we did it, students just kind of automatically do it. They figure it out and go to it right away. So this is the code that they will need. So they go to joinpd.com and they put the code in, TAEBCB. So they put that in, and you can cut it and paste it in also.
I think we showed this in last week, so I may skip forward here a little bit.
So this is what they see. They see the Google Slides just like if I was projecting Google Slides. And then once they're in, I control the screen. I control the pace. So this is instructor controlled because this is a live online class. But you can also have them do it at the student's own pace. So it could be for an asynchronous class too. So as I go through this presentation, everything that they see on here is everything that I see. However, when they have an actual question, so this is what I see as the instructor, but this is what they see. And so they answer a question. So for example, I had them type their name and tell me how they're doing and how confident they feel about their draft and are they looking forward to feedback. And they just type a quick response. Right? So then once they've posted that response, actually, even as they're writing it, I can see it. So I go to show responses and I can see their response. It's a really nice way to, create engagement and have students ask questions and check for understanding. So it works really well in my class because I had in my live online classes, I was asking questions verbally and I had maybe 2 or 3 students really dominate the conversation. And I was trying to get away from that, get everybody a chance to contribute without forcing them to speak if they didn't want to. So I wanted to provide a way for them to be more engaged and provide their perspective and input. So this has been a really nice tool to do that. So when I stop, hide responses, I can hide responses and then go through the presentation as normal. There's another question here.
Okay, and we asked questions last week, so I'm going to go through. Does he say something at the end, Jen, about what's the bottom line? How do the students like it?
No, he doesn't, I don't think. So I can kind of explain that. The students really liked it because I was able to, they were staying engaged. There were some that were really hesitant to talk, I think, and they typed in these really wonderful responses, and it was just really nice to have total engagement. And also the ones that, I don't feel comfortable demanding they turn on their camera, and so they don't want to be on camera, so I don't know if they're there sometimes. I didn't show that second video, but once you go back, you can save it, and as Jen showed us and Mary showed us last week, you can put it in Google Sheets, and all of their answers appear, so you can really see that they're staying engaged and really staying with the class. And honestly, as much as they liked it, I think I liked it more because it just made me feel more comfortable that somebody was there listening to me and really asking questions and really considering some of the things I was talking about, I guess.
And so you think it got to the objective of getting, you said that it looked like they were all participating and not just those 2 or 3 who are dominating the conversation. So that's changed the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely changed the dynamic a little bit for sure. And the conversations kind of, I even think some of the people being able to answer the questions in type form also made them want to kind of talk more and participate more and give them an opportunity because they'd already shared those ideas. And so it gave them a kind of an opportunity to kind of think about those a little bit more and then share what they had talked about. So it worked really well, and I think it improved the class quite a bit. And I have to say, as far as the technology is concerned, it's so easy to use. It was really easy to use, and my students picked it up like that, and it's a really great tool. I'll definitely continue to use it for sure.
I love that there's no app for them to download or anything like that. They just go to the space and you run it live. I have not run it live except when we did the live online. I've done it asynchronously, and this was the first week I haven't done it. I had them do something else. I switched it up a little bit, and they were like, hey, how come we didn't get to participate in the lecture as it was going, or the activities as it was going? And I had them do different things, but it's one of the few things that I've ever done in my years of teaching that had like 100% positive response rate. Everybody loved it, and the plug and play, the ease of use is, I think, the key thing for me. You can literally, like you said, you went to the workshop Tuesday and did it on Wednesday.
Yep, yeah, really easy.
Thank you.
That's good news for us. Not only did you attend, but you actually used what we showed you. So nothing makes us happier.
You guys you gave me the advice to not do it right away and quickly, but I did, and it worked. So I did defy that piece of
Love it.
Colette, do you want to talk about yours since you're here?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I put announcements up every week, and sometimes most times, they're just not reading them.
Yeah.
Because you're putting important information, right? Like, okay, your initial post for your discussion board is due on Wednesday. Your final is due on Sunday night. And then they submit everything on Sunday, right? And I did an announcement that said, okay, if you don't get your initial posting, you get 0 credit, period. And their discussion post counts as a grade, and it goes towards their class participation at the end of class as well. And I got this idea, and I actually think it was from Darby, because she had talked about, for announcements for her classes, and assignments or whatever, she would hide little Easter eggs. And so this is my second time doing it. I did it this week. This is not the example from that week. But I put this in the middle of this big paragraph, right? The labeled communication, that they're like, I don't care. I don't need to read it. What are you, whatever. So I hid it in the middle, right? Tell me what there was a video that they were supposed to watch that were embedded in this announcement. It was also a way not only to make sure they're reading the announcement, but they're watching the videos that I'm posting that have really important information in it. So I just hid it in the middle of the communication bullet point. And this was an announcement that probably had a few things before it. The video was at the top, a few other things before the communication. But I asked them to see what the last bookmark on the right-hand side of my browser was that appeared in the video. And they get extra participation points for it, or extra credit points for it.
You should ask them, what's on my coffee mug that I was drinking out of in my video?
And I thought about it after I did it, because I was like, well, they can just look at the picture of the video, right?
Okay.
So I think next time it's going to be, I'll just hold up something random, or, whatever, like in the middle of the video or at the end of the video.
Yeah.
Right. And so they really, really have to watch it. So teaching online is new for me. It's a bit challenging in this class because it's leadership development and it's about personal development. And a lot of it is the interaction that you're supposed to be having that really teaches to the gravity of a lot of the lessons. But so I only received 2 for this first Easter egg that I hid. But the one that I just posted for this week, actually put it at the very, 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 very bottom of the announcement and left all this blank space. And it was like, what's your favorite ice cream and where do you get it? Yeah, because I had a really short paragraph. And so I posted that Sunday night. I've received 6 responses in my inbox. People that saw it and found it.
At least a half dozen of them are looking at it.
Right. So I know as we go further, I'm hoping that at least they will be looking at that stuff. And I might post it like the beginning when I announce my next announcement. Hey, have any of you found any of the Easter eggs that I've hidden in the course content? So it'll get some of, and I'm not going to answer a question about it, right? Well, what is an Easter egg? Well, I don't know. You tell me. So, that engagement with, making sure that they're paying attention. And so I've had some success with it. I was not hopeful that it would work really well, but I thought, well, I'll try it. It's working. So that's really good. And then I actually have a little bit more good news because I just got a message about it earlier today. I was actually surprised, and it made me happy as well, that I got a message from a student that, was like, oh, I found the Easter egg, whatever. Thank you so much for reading all of the work we do.
That's awesome.
And do they leave Easter eggs for you?
Right? Like, I'm so thankful you do. And I was like, but a lot of times I don't just type in the feedback. Like where I'm sitting now, no makeup, I look a hot mess. Some of them really touched me with an assignment that I had them respond to. And one of them was talking about being vulnerable and really being concerned about what others thought of her. So I just recorded myself like I am now, right? No makeup, hair up, I look a hot mess. Dogs on the couch. It was probably 9:30 at night, and shared with her about authenticity. And it's okay to be vulnerable. And it only matters what we think of ourselves and not what others think of us. And so being able to do those short little videos in your responses, especially to stuff that they're really sharing themselves and they're being vulnerable, has really touched my students, and in turn has really touched me and has encouraged me to keep doing that, right? They are actually paying attention to your feedback. And it does matter to them, especially now that we're all online.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that they really appreciate the video feedback on any kind of homework. Like with the video grading, I've told people that if you hand a student back a paper with a bunch of writing on it, they'll toss it in the trash. But if you give them a video walking through their paper and you giving them comments, they get your tone. Even if what you're saying would have sounded unkind in writing, they appreciate that you're really being constructive with it and not trying to tear them down.
Right. Right.
Well, I'm so happy you were here to actually share it in person with us, because we weren't sure how many of you were going to be able to be here this afternoon.
This is from Lisa Rushak, and she teaches criminal justice, our AJS courses, and she said she's just worked so hard all summer and all semester and every week getting the content developed. And one of her students said in feedback, out of all of my classes, this one is the most organized. And she said, I love it because it's organized. I know what to do. And so she sent a little screenshot of her. This is just a part of her weekly announcement. She posts it every Sunday at noon. Always she has a little note to you, so a little reflection after having read their assignments, just something that she's thinking about that she would tell them if she were meeting with them face to face. And this is a live online class, so she always has a little note to you. And then this week, so things that are coming up throughout the week, the Webex meetings and the links, and then what's due this week, and miscellaneous items. It's always posted on Sundays, always on the same format, and students said that that really helps them stay organized throughout the course. It's just that little weekly reflect back, especially they said after hearing the content of, she's read their assignments, she's reviewed them, and here's kind of like a general synopsis of her feedback. So they've said it really helps them stay organized and the consistency of the message.
And what did she say about all the work she's done, Jen?
It made it all worth it. You get that one positive student feedback and it makes it all worth it. Now, April is coming next week, she and Scott Adamson, and they are going to share some of the things that they've been doing. They said they've just been on fire since base camp. They've created a lot of content and they want to share it. And even though it's specific to their math courses, they think content and some of the ideas will really be applicable, so they're just on fire to share some of the things that they've created, and they'll be sharing out of their Canvas courses next week.
Yeah, what was important about this is she shared this with Scott Adamson, and then he shared it with me, but she okayed it. It's just that she said there was a student that she had a year ago. So this photo in the bottom right corner is actually a face-to-face activity that they would normally be doing. And this student had her a year ago for Calc 1 and did really, really well with it. And this sort of paired board work is the kind of thing that helped him be really successful. And he said, I never, ever in a million years would think that I would take an online Calc 2 course, let alone be doing well with it. But he said he's really enjoying the way she has her class set up. So they'll talk about that more next week. So a student who is very successful in her class face-to-face is also turning out to be successful in her class online because of a lot of this redesign that they did over the summer, I think.
Well, and I will say, April Strom, I did an adjunct workshop with her probably 2 years ago, I think it was. So I'll get up and do that paired board work.
Right, I've been in that workshop too.
Amazing. Amazing. Like being able to do that, because I do a lot of paired board work too, so I'm curious to see how they do that online. But I don't have an online live class, so what does that look like?
If you go back and read through her slide, what the student told her is she's having them do study groups every week. And so they're kind of replicating that problem-solving thing together in their study groups every week. So I'll be interested to see how they've got that set up as well. So I'm hoping she'll share some of that next week.
And Mary and I started playing around today with Jamboard a little bit, which is an interactive whiteboard, and some of the features. We did a webinar on that today, and we'll be sharing that too. That's a great whiteboard feature where students can work in groups or they can work individually, and you can draw on a virtual whiteboard. It just looked really nice, ease of use, and great creative things that you can do with it as well. So we'll share that later. This one is from Andrea O'Brien, and she says she does have her students have their video on, and she said she has just seen when she set clear expectations, how students have really been camera ready. They're there, they're engaged, they're ready to turn on their cameras. She said, I am going to take a picture and share. And they're like, what are you sharing for? And she said, we want to share just in this workshop. So she said, if you want to turn your cameras off, you can. So she said, two did. But she said, it is so great to have them there and see them engaged and be able to engage with them and have them engage with each other and see each other respond and take turns presenting as well. So she said it's just been really great once she set that clear expectation that you need to be camera ready at all time during the presentation.
Zoila sent this one to us yesterday, and she said one thing she's been doing with the students, she said it worked for me when I was an undergraduate in college, where we'd be in the dorm and everybody on our dorm floor would just stop studying for a minute, blast one song, everybody dances, and then we have to go study again. So she has started posting for her students this one song study break. And she'll pick something that she can relate to psychology, because that's what she teaches. But still, it's a song, one of those catchy songs that you kind of have a hard time not dancing to when you play it. So I think her students have fun with that. Whether she has them face-to-face or asynchronously, they can still enjoy her effort and the fun that she has with it. I had emailed Bill G because I figured if anybody knows some good news about what's going on with classes, then it will be our Vice President of Academic Affairs. And he said what struck him is how people are doing workarounds. You know, that they're making these classes work like you, Gloria, where you've got your small board there, or they'll just have paper and markers and use it. And if you read today's Tech Tuesday, teachers across the country are coming up with these weird workarounds, hacks, DIY solutions. The one in the middle is actually me and Jen last week. So there's Jen's laptop and my laptop in the screen so that we could try and get the Pear Deck thing from both. We recorded both the instructor's perspective and the student's perspective so that I could stitch them together into one. But some of it's as easy as the pool noodle to rest your wrists on. So,
that's pretty good.
I know. So they just cut it up, or a rolled up towel to support your wrists so that you don't get out your carpal tunnel problems.
Well, and I will tell you, one of my stands that I use for one of my laptops is actually a cut in half restaurant milk crate.
See, I want to do a session on just that. I want everybody to take pictures of their workspaces.
Yeah.
And I want to take some of those hacks that people recommended online and have us do like almost a Mythbuster session where we try them and video it and see how it goes and see if it really works.
Even with my whiteboard, I have to put a stapler underneath the front part because it opens up. You know, so it opens up and sits up by itself, but the bottom part is still tight out. So I put a stapler underneath it. Okay, perfect. That's what you have to do.
Yep.
Whatever works.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yep. You got it. And it's fun, too. It really is fun.
It is.
We had Marie also share that she did that collaborative class slide deck from Basecamp, did something similar, where students, they worked in groups, and then half the group did one slide deck and the other half did another slide deck, and they worked collaboratively. Then they presented their work, and she said students really enjoyed the opportunity to work together in a slide and then present what they had created. So she said it was a great success and she had fun with that.
Which is what we like to hear. This is our good news, Jen. You want to report out?
We finished Base Camp 12 last week, so we are done for the semester.
Well, I loved that at the end when we asked people to get on camera, there's people like you can see John Garza here where they grab their kids and let their kids get in on it too. And
it's sometimes just great. I think one of the biggest pieces is what Anthony shared at one of our first sessions is those verbal cues, getting to see students and having them give a thumbs up or a wave, or it creates that sense of class community. And we didn't want to miss out that there are some great things going on campus as well with the Coyote Cupboard, and they had Student Life was passing out food from the food bank. There was a great food distribution. So helping keep our students in the loop with some of those great things going on campus.
Oh, Jen, can you look in the notes real quick? I put the dates of the next food distribution that they're doing in case anybody here wants to share it with their students.
And why don't we call on anybody out there? Deb, I know you're out there, Deb Fast. Is there anything that you've done this week that has been good news, or anything that you've tried and has really worked?
So yeah, we've been really struggling with the Webex because it seems like Tuesday nights seem to be the time that something goes wrong. Every week a little bit better, and most of my students are going to be elementary teachers, so of course they're very forgiving. They've been very polite about the struggles that we've had getting on. So I'm hopeful that tonight it will work out really well. One of the things that I wanted to share was one of the tools that I like to use is Padlet. And the students love it because you can change up the flow, even if it's like it's a discussion board. You can change up the flow. It's real easy to add videos and pictures and sort their comments, sort the information, or have them sorting it, and they can watch it develop. I relate it to doing a chalk talk in the face-to-face class, where you don't even need to actually go back over the information that was discussed because they're watching it develop as it goes. I had sent a message, an announcement to my students when we did some data, and they were looking at several examples of data, and then they had to select something to talk about, but then they had to end with a question, and they couldn't talk to the next person unless they connected to the last one. So I did like a scrolling Padlet, and I was just so impressed at how well and how developed their connections were with each other, and then the questions that they were asking at the end of the data that they were looking at. So it was pretty exciting. I don't know how a question I have is how everyone is doing their synchronous. If you're doing a big block of time and then letting them work on things, or you're doing it interactive. So like I've got 3 sessions set up every night. So we start out with an opening where I set the stage. I give them a half hour to work on something like a Padlet. We come back together half an hour later, and then I set them up for something to do with groups. And then we come back together the last part of the evening to discuss what they did. And I don't know if I'm overdoing it, underdoing it.
What do your students say?
They've been doing it. I mean, they come on, they're interacting. We've had struggles, of course, like I said, with Webex. So, so some of the times they end up missing one of them, which, because they can't get in or whatever the case may be. So,
I just figured maybe they were your best cue as to, are they feeling super overwhelmed, or would it be like with Jen, if you stopped doing the activities, they'd say, hey, why aren't we doing the activities?
One of the things students often crave is wanting to work together and wanting to work collaboratively. And in asynchronous classes, finding that time is so very difficult. So I love the fact that you're utilizing part of your designated time for the class for them to work in small groups and really let their voice be heard and work collaboratively. So I think you've got that time frame that students are knowing that they need to be available for the course, and how you utilize that and break that up. Some weeks you might have more time where you do more direct instruction and there's less group activity. But I think I love the flow of that. It sounds like it's really working. And if students have a project to do and there's not a lot of time to do a lot of work, they're going to be engaged rather than taking that and going and getting dinner or lunch or something like that. That key is timing and pacing. And I love that they're getting the opportunity to collaborate and work just like if they were in the classroom in their small group tables, and then come back and then you wrap it all up. So there's an accountability piece at the end that they have to produce something to be able to bring something to the table at the end. So I love it. That's one of the things I love about the synchronous classes is you do have that flexibility, and it is a time where they can work together. I think the challenge is when we give a lot of group work in asynchronous classes, having that time to meet up or finding that time to meet up for students is really, really difficult. So I think you've really captured the essence of how to use that well.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Jen, it's funny you say that about the asynchronous because I just asked my students to email me. I said, if we can sketch out a few times that I can be available and we can meet together to discuss whatever it is you want to discuss, how many of you would want to do that? And almost 100%.
Most of them, yeah, I bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do. They
So now it's, trying to find for me and them what that works. But yeah.
They crave that. They want that time. I'm going to host. I'm completely online, but I'm going to host just a review session for an exam coming up, just to be able to talk and discuss and let them ask questions, and as many that can join can. But I'll also record it so those that can't, there's no penalty. They can watch it on their own or send questions ahead of time. So really trying to meet the needs of all. I know my daughter said I would love to attend one of the sessions, but they always do it while we're at work. So I'm so glad the instructor records it. So I don't lose out, but I'm also able to participate and get the benefits of that review. So kind of taking a lot of the cues from her taking both online live and online classes.
Well, I'm going to skip to the next slide, Jen, because we got about 10 minutes left by my watch.
Yes.
Here's what everyone has been waiting for. When is Webex going to have breakout rooms? And I think it finally came online this past weekend. I haven't touched it at all. And I know that in 2 weeks, Jen's not going to be able to be here, but Leslie said she would come and show people how to use the breakout rooms in Webex. So October 6th, the day that will show that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question because you gave me two wonderful videos. Was it this Jen that made those videos for WebEx?
A good question. Oh, it's probably Juliet.
Juliet
Okay. Is the one who sounds like she has that soft
voice.
Evening DJ, because she said her mother used to be a nighttime DJ.
Right. Okay, because
that's Juliet Crocco at the CTLA.
Okay, then I'll call her because I'm still having such terrible problems with WebEx. I understand the videos and everything, but at one point I really wanted to put my fist through my computer.
Well, if you contact the CTLA, they will set up a one-on-one with you if you need it.
Okay.
So if it's a one-on-one time,
thumbs
you can
up,
do that.
thumbs down too. I think she's felt that way too.
The fist through the computer.
And we wanted to end with a fun little pep talk. If you haven't seen this, there was kid president at one point in time. Well, this is kid superintendent, so it's a couple minutes long, but we just thought it was a great way to kind of pull us together here. So go ahead, Mary.
Hello, I'm Dr. Khalid Mumin, and welcome to the 2020-2021 school year. As we all know, we are living in unprecedented times, and I believe it's appropriate for me to begin with one of my favorite poems, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked at on as far as I could. I got this stuck. Have you heard of kid president? Well, I kid superintendent. And I think we all need a pep
I love his happy dance.
The past couple of months haven't been easy, huh? A global pandemic, politics, social unrest, earthquakes, tornadoes, Tiger King. No! The show is not what I thought it was about. Your glasses fogging up when you wear a mask.
messy parts, right? It's okay to feel overwhelmed right now, or anxious, or nervous about remote learning. If Bitmoji is awesome, by the way. Maybe you're worried about students. I'm worried about myself and everybody else. But remember, we're all doing the best we can. That's all that matters. Kids aren't looking for perfection. We're just looking for you to be present. I know that because I'm a kid. So let's be good humans. Let's sit here and take fish and sprinkle kindness. By the way, I hate people. And let's give each other grace, not greed. We're all in this together. But we've got to support each other. It helps. But you know this already because that's what people do. You're resilient and resourceful. When times get tough, you know how to pull together. No cap. And there's too many good stuff in the world, right? Like cinnamon toast crunch. I see. And Lizzo, my mom has her music a lot. A lot. And funny TikTok videos. And Sharpie, you gotta love those. And we got you. You are good. Don't scrap that. You are great. We need you here. No matter your job, you each have something special and amazing to offer. You can do virtually anything. Get it? Virtually? It's a joke. Seriously, you can do this. You are the champion of being a pure talk. I believe in you. I know you'll say RSD proud. Imagine this. It's kind of like Doc was trying to say. 2 roads to birds in a wood. And right now, we gotta take the one less travel. Uncharted territory, I know it might get a little scary. Actually, a lot scary. But you got this. Put on your favorite fuzzy socks. No one can see your feet on Google Meets. But definitely do what you pick. And press with the positive attitude. It's gonna make all the difference.
I'd like to see if we could get some of that choppiness out of it, because I think he was saying some really cool stuff.
Well, the link is here, and you can get all these slides today. In fact, let me. So if anybody has stuff that they want to see in the future, if you have comments from today, if you have more questions, if there are ideas you want to share down the road or things you want to see down the road, then if you go to this bit.ly/LOL suggestion box, that's where you can always drop your suggestions, questions, comments. And to get today's slides, if you go to bit.ly/LOL-SGN, some good news 1, because I didn't know if we'll ever do a follow-up SGN 2. So it's bit.ly/LOL-SGN 1. It should prompt you and say, do you want a copy of these slides? And then you'll have the slides for yourself. And the link to that video and the video itself is right there in the slide.
Okay, this was an excellent meeting. Picked up a few points.
Just wanted to say thank you so much to all of you guys for sharing. We really do appreciate, and we're learning as we're going. Like every week, people say every week it gets a little bit bigger, better, a little bit better, and it's like riding a bike for the first time. Teaching in this live online format it's just crazy. So we're trying to capture all the things that we're learning as we learn, and you guys really are the pioneers. Next semester, think of all the things we'll have to share with those that kind of dive into this teaching format. I wanted to, Joni, I see you're on. We shared your tip. Thanks so much for sharing. And we just appreciate all that you guys bring to the table and are willing to share. Again, next week we have April Strom and Scott Adamson sharing some of the amazing things that they're doing. The following week we are going to do Webex groups. Breakout group, so that should be a great session as well.
Did we forget anything? Colette said, hey, let's keep doing SGN. If you spread the word, I was actually a little concerned this week because not very many people were getting back to me. I don't know if people are just inundated with the emails, so they weren't responding. I kind of begged. So if you thought it was fun, spread the word.
Peer pressure always works for me.
Yeah.
Good.
So you know.
Well, Joni's not going to answer my text anymore, are you, Joni? Stop texting me. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Maddie.
Bye-bye.